I'm Christine and this is Chelsea. Today we're looking at statistics across the elementary and junior high school levels. We are specifically looking at reading and creating graphs. So what is statistics anyways? Statistics in junior and elementary school involves representing data and collecting data in many different ways. As students advance to the higher grades, they begin to look critically at different data and where it comes from. Let's have a look at how graphing changes throughout the years of elementary and junior high school. Grade 2 is the first year that graphing is introduced. Students create picture and concrete graphs using data that they have collected themselves.
In grade 3, students are expected to collect and organize first-hand data. This can be done in several forms, including charts, tally marks, and line plots. Students will also be working on creating, labeling, and examining bar graphs. By grade 4, students will be using many-to-one correspondence when creating graphs. Along with bar graphs, students will be creating and interpreting pictographs as well.
Grade 5 is the first year that students begin to work with both first and second-hand data. They are expected to create their own double bar graphs and examine them to find answers to given questions. They also need to know all the attributes of different types of bar graphs.
For grade 6, students will be expected to become familiar with line graphs and to be able to design, label, and analyze them. As well, students will be able to independently choose an appropriate method to collect data, such as questionnaires or electronic media, and explain why they chose that method.
Grade 7 is the first year that students are encouraged to use technology to create their graphs. They begin to make circle graphs and use percentages to represent data. In grade 8, students move away from creating their own graphs and begin to think critically about how data is presented. They also begin to think about where the data is coming from and whether or not it is accurate or skewed.
Common misconceptions. Some anticipated errors for grade 5 are students confusing first and second-hand data. Students could also read the data incorrectly before creating a double bar graph or have errors when labeling different features on a graph. For grade 6, some common misconceptions could include which method to use when collecting data, labeling their graph incorrectly, along with errors in interpreting the data before designing a line graph.
In grade 7, students begin working with circle graphs. Some of the common misconceptions include confusing the percentages for the numbers in the data, making a circle graph that equals to more than 100%, and understanding how to translate between the data and the percentages. In grade 8, where the focus is on analyzing graphing data, students need to remember that the internet is not always right, and that the data is not always accurate or can be skewed.
Smarties versus M&Ms. This could be a yummy concrete material for students to use when creating a double bar graph. Students compare the colors from each package and have a sweet treat when sharing their graphs with peers. Using a calendar and thermometer, students can create either double bar graphs or line graphs to compare the temperature at school to anywhere around the world. What a great way to connect cross-curricular outcomes.
One way that students can represent circle graphs in a concrete form is with their bodies. You can give each student a random card from a deck of cards and have them stand in groupings of that suit. Then have them stand in a circle. Use skipping ropes to show the different parts of the circle.
This could be used to facilitate small groups or whole class discussions on interpreting line graphs. Notice and Wonder provides every student an opportunity to participate in the lesson and also look at the seriousness of climate change. For this logic puzzle, students use the clues to determine how the graph should be labeled. This is also a great example of the importance of labeling the attributes on a graph.
Moving with data is a great rich task from UCubed. In this activity, students look at Marvel movie reviews and think critically about where the review data came from. They then determine how best to represent the data using graphing. This is a great activity to hook students, because who doesn't love a good Marvel film? In this brain bender from MathUp, students need to access population data and use it to calculate the percentage of people in Canada who have televisions in their bathrooms. They can then be asked how they would represent the data in a circle graph and consider why this data would be important. Thanks for listening, and have a look at all these great references.